Can I ask you this? When you looked in your wallet after you went to the grocery store, when's the last time you felt good about what you spent? I guess that's how it is now. And if you're having trouble remembering some good times when you walked out of the grocery store and you felt like you spent your money that was well worth it, you're not alone and you're not imagining it. Food prices in 2026 are genuinely higher, and I think that's an understatement. And the reasons behind why that's happening is worth understanding. And once you understand why, you need to start making moves on how to help your household and to help your wallet. And that's what we're going to discuss today. We're going to break down why prices are going up and they will continue to go up. And we're going to talk about how a home garden can really help. Not quit your job and move to a farm, but a more practical, beginner-friendly way that you can actually manage and do this today. We're going to talk about tomatoes because tomatoes are having the highlight of 2026, and it's not the good time. Let's start with it. Food prices go up when the cost to grow more food, move food, or when there's less food available that people want to buy. That will cause prices to go up. And in 2026, you will not believe it, but we're dealing with all three problems at the same damn time. And that's what makes this particular stretch feel so rough about spending money at that checkout line. The first thing working against us is that inflation is sticky. I mean, we look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics that released the Consumer Price Index, or CPI, report in April of 2026, and the food prices, specifically groceries that you and I spend, what they call food at home, are still climbing month over month, and this summer promises to be worse. This isn't just restaurants passing along prices. This is your kitchen, your fridge, your weekly shopping list. The second factor is transportation, how food gets around, and supply chain costs. When a farmer grows plenty of food, that food still has to be harvested, picked, and shipped in the form of trucks or airplanes to get across. It has to be kept cold and delivered to a store. When fuel costs go up, even though you might be seeing them go down now, and when labor gets more expensive, and when logistics get complicated, those costs don't disappear. They end up in your price tag that you pay at the grocery stores. And the grocery stores are damn sure not going to eat that cost for you. It's not, and it has never been their thing. The third factor is drought. Over 60% of the lower 48 states have experienced some drought or light drought conditions since early May of 2026. Even here in northern Pennsylvania, we have gotten 20 or 25 days without rain. So when the scarcity drops, crop field drops, quality drops, pest and disease pressure goes up, the whole growing process gets more expensive, and it eventually becomes you and mine problem at the store before any shortage reaches the local shelf. The fourth factor is the trade or tariff costs, right? We're not talking about arguing politics, we're just explaining the cause and effect. When tariffs affect goods flowing in and out of the country, the costs ripple into the supply chain. The Joint Economic Committee of the U.S. Senate estimated in March of 2026 of this year that the tariff-related costs could average more than $2,500 or $2,500 per household for the year. This kind of pressure finds its way to food prices, one way or another. Now, tomatoes. Tomatoes became the poster child of this whole situation because the coverage of 2026, the EPI data, noted that tomato prices have jumped nearly 40% over year. The humble tomato, this vegetable that just used to show up quietly in your salad, I would pick them out and throw them out of my salad, is asking for a speaking role and a salary. What happened? The same things we just talked about. Weather impacts supply chain costs, trade disruptions, all at once. Tomatoes had what you might call a full 2026 experience, a tomato wake-up call. And that's what makes me frustrated. I hope it makes you frustrated, because the frustration is useful because we could talk about what to do with it now. You need a mindset shift. And that way you could take something away from this video, that you're not going to be out here negotiating a global supply chain. You're not going to fix inflation. or be angry about being in whatever aisle tomatoes are sold. You can actually reduce how much you depend on that system or the things you eat most. Self-sufficiency, which this channel has always been about, doesn't mean you got to grow 100% of your own food or disappear into the woods and grow a beard or marry a guy who has a beard. It means you can grow enough of certain things when the prices spike that you'll feel it less and you have a buffer, you have options. That's what a garden does for your household. Even if you live in an apartment, on your balcony, it's not a hobby, it's a hedge. And right now, it's one of the more practical ones available for regular people. A garden helps in free and concrete ways. I said free, not three. First, it replicates or replaces repeat purchases. You're not trying to grow everything. You need to target items you buy over and over, especially the ones that spike in price. Tomatoes are a great example. The ones that spoil quickly, the ones that cost a lot per pound. This is where your garden does the most financial work. Second, it reduces food waste. A lot of grocery spending gets thrown away because life gets busy and hey, things go bad before you use them. And when you grow food, you tend to harvest smaller amounts more regularly, which means you're eating things fresh instead of finding them 3 to 4 weeks later in the back of your fridge. Not many of us have ever done that, sarcasm included. Third, it builds a buffer. This is against price spikes. When tomatoes jump 40%, you are not paying peak prices for peak demand. That's in the summer. You're already growing some in your own yard or your balcony, and you've taken yourself at least partially out of the equation. Lower demand, lower cost. Let's get practical now. Here's how you actually build that garden that helps with this. First step is to start what I call high impact 5. These are crops that beginner gardeners and give them the best return for their effort when it comes to grocery savings. Tomatoes, yes, the villain of this whole story, actually the victim, can be your best ally. Fresh tomatoes, sauce, salsa, a grocery value of production tomato plant is real. Peppers, they're expensive to buy regularly. They store reasonably well, and they're easier to grow than most people expect. Leafy greens, such as lettuce, spinach, arugula. These are cut and come back again crops, meaning you harvest them once from the same plant multiple times. They grow fast. They're pricey in stores for what you actually get. Also herbs, basil, cilantro, parsley, just to name a few. Have you looked at the price of fresh herbs lately? A tiny plastic clamshell of basil can cost $3 to $4, and half of it wilts before you actually use it. One basil plant can supply you for the whole summer. That's not gardening, that's math. Green onions. These might be the beginner crop on the list, but they practically regrow themselves after you cut them. You can root store, buy a green onion, put it in a glass of water, and plant them. They're almost trying to help you out. The second step is choosing a growing system that actually fits your life. Not the version of life that you want to have unlimited time and energy, but you actually don't have. We want to talk about the life you actually have right now. You got a balcony or patio, containers, or grow bags, they'll work well. You can grow a surprising amount in a small space. If you've got a yard, a raised bed, or even a simple ground row garden is a great starting point. If you have a larger property, well, shit, you're best in luck. A small and scale from there. Build a routine before you build the operation. Number one reason gardens fail isn't bad soil and bad seeds, taking on too much too fast, and burning out before July even comes. The third step is to solve 3 problems that end most beginner gardens before they even get going. The first problem is watering. You can't water inconsistently, and it's a leading cause of problems in vegetable gardens, especially with tomatoes. It can cause issues like blossom end rot, where the bottom of your tomato turns dark and soft. It is as unpleasant as it sounds, and you don't need fancy irrigation systems. You need a consistent watering schedule, a layer of mulch or straw bale to hold in that moisture, and a habit of paying close attention during those hot spells. The second problem is that daggone heat. We love the heat, but extreme heat in 2026 probably is going to have a lot of it, and actually can reduce pollination in plants like tomatoes and peppers. I didn't know this, learned it myself. When it's too hot, bees and other pollinators slow down, and the flowers may not set fruit properly. Shade cloth and watering in the early morning or good airflow around your plants can help keep that production going through the hottest parts of the season. The third problem is pests. Then here's the thing about pests, they're extremely reliable and now they will show up. One question is whether you catch them early or late. Scout your plants at least once a week. Look at the underside of leaves and catch a problem when it's small. Integrated pest management, which I've talked about in different videos, or IPM, is starting with the least disruptive solution first. That's the right approach. Physical removal, a strong spray. If you don't like physical removal, then you use a spray. Row covers or targeted treatments when needed. Gardeners who struggle the most with pests are usually the ones that act way too late to do something about it. The fourth step is to preserve what your garden produces. There's something that new gardeners often discover when their vegetables start coming in, as they come in all at once. You go from no tomatoes to I have more tomatoes than I could possibly eat for the next 4 days. That's a good problem to have, but you need to be ready for it. The USDA tracks food prices, and the long-term trend is clear. Costs are going to go up over time. So the value of preserving your harvest is real. Dehydrating, canning, freezing, and we got tons of videos about those, are always ways to lock up values of what you grow when it is free, so you're drawing on it later when store prices are high. Your summer garden can feed you your winter table when you're ready to capture that abundance. So here's what we land. Food prices and a rising in 2026 for real documented reasons. Inflation pressure isn't fully settled. Drought conditions affecting more than half the country, rising transportation and logistic costs, policy-related disruptions rippling that supply chain. These are real forces and they're not going away, so you are not powerless, not even close. A garden won't solve it all, but your grow options will. In a year when everything feels more expensive, having more options is genuinely powerful. So start where you are, grow what you actually eat, and build a better system too while you're at it. And the next time the grocery store wants to charge you top dollar for that tomato, you walk home and eat one from your own yard or balcony. And I call that a pretty good return on investment. It's a real net gain. And let's be honest, there's nothing like it. If this content helps you, consider subscribing to the channel. Make sure you give me the HMO special, help me out. And we'll put videos out regularly on beginner-friendly gardening and grow your own food and building a little bit more independence, one season at a time. I want to hear from you. Drop a comment. Let me know one vegetable you're planning to grow and what tips you got. Or if you're just getting started, tell me what's holding you back. I read every comment and your question might end up inspiring a future video. Let's be together. Let's get active and build a community. Get your hands dirty. Thanks for watching.
Who told you that owning land had to start with permission? A bank, a lender, a credit score. For most people, that story ends before it ever begins. At Ancestry Lands, we challenge that idea entirely. Because real land ownership doesn't require a bank deciding your worth. On this channel, we show everyday people how to own real property without credit checks, banks, or complicated approvals. We explain what land ownership actually is. Whether your goal is to build, hold, or pass something down, land gives you options, and we walk you through those options clearly and honestly. Visit ancestrylands.com, reach out directly, and subscribe to begin your land ownership journey.